What's up? Patrick Moran here, host of the Moran-Alytics Podcast with some audio content exclusive to our YouTube channel. Zay Jones is now a former Buffalo Bill. ESPN's Chris Mortensen reported on Monday evening that Zay Jones has indeed been traded to the Oakland Raiders in exchange for a 2021 fifth-round draft pick. First and foremost, let's talk about the trade itself. I feel like it's a good deal actually for both teams. So I know some fans anyway are going to say good riddance to Zay Jones on his way out and that the Bills clean house with this trade. That might be true to some extent. Picking up a fifth-round pick 2 years from now is definitely another asset for Brandon Beane. I think it's a good move to get something for a guy that pretty much had no future on this team. So worked out for Buffalo, but I also think that it's a deal that could work out for Zay Jones. He's going to get a fresh start in Oakland. I do think he does have talent. I mean, he's not going to be ever DeAndre Hopkins or anything like that, but he does have talent to be a pretty good receiver in the NFL. So maybe a fresh start, some new scenery will help him as well. Zay Jones was a good player, but he just never materialized into what most fans and especially the organization hoped that he would be. And I think that expectation was to be a very good number 2 receiver at worst. I feel like Zay Jones was drafted to be what the team wanted from Robert Woods, of course, who left in free agency and signed a big deal with the LA Rams, and he's been fantastic with the Rams. I think that the Buffalo Bills were hoping that's what would be the case with Zay Jones. And, you know, it's easy to go back in a draft and second guess yourself. Trust me when I tell you this, there's 32 other teams in the NFL that every year they look and they say, at least one or two of their picks, man, we really dropped the ball here. I wish we could go back and redo this, because you look at some of the guys that were taken not long after Zay Jones in that 2017 draft in the second round, and I'm sure there's some people at One Bills Drive were probably kicking themselves over it. Some of the running backs that were in that second round, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Juju Smith, if you want to say a wide receiver, he's turned out to be a much better player at this point of his career than Zay Jones. He went to Pittsburgh 20-something picks later in the second round. Cooper Kupp went to the Rams early in the third. So, sure, I'm positive that the Bills, to some extent, are probably kicking themselves. But again, you can't live like that, and you can't be an armchair quarterback after the fact. Zay Jones, at the time, felt like a good pick. He just never really materialized. His first year with the team, he had 27 catches for 316. Not really his fault. He didn't get a lot of playing time. Last year, he was, if not the number 1 receiver, the number 1A receiver, along with Robert Foster at 56 catches for 652 and 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns is not bad at all. 652, little bit underachieving, but not much. 56 catches. You got to understand this too, okay? In fairness here to Zay Jones, and I'm not a Zay Jones fan. If you listen to my podcast regularly and have heard my commentary about him, I've never been a big Zay Jones guy, but I'm also going to be fair to the guy, okay? He's had Tyrod Taylor throwing him the football. He's had Nate Peterman throwing him the football, and he's had Josh Allen throwing him the football. To this point anyway, with Josh Allen, not the greatest quarterbacks who's ever played the game throwing you the football. Now, don't get me wrong. Josh Allen might turn out to be an all-time great, but I'm talking about right now, early in his career, especially last year as a rookie when Zay Jones was on the field a lot. Peterman, what more needs to be said? Tyrod Taylor, smart quarterback, not exactly a prolific passer. So it's not like this guy has had Brett Favre slinging him the football since he's been in Buffalo. Now, having said that, based off last year, the Bills could not have been too high on the guy because they went out and they spent considerable resources and got both John Brown and Cole Beasley. I don't know when it comes to Zay Jones, if that hurt him mentally. I don't know what the plans were supposed to be for him, but he just looked lost this year. That much is undeniable, okay? He only had 7 catches in 5 games. Well, basically 4 games because he literally played 1 snap against the Titans. But 4 catches for 69 yards in 4 games, that's not going to get it done, especially when you're on the field for as much as he was the first month of the season. And the writing really was on the wall for this happening on Sunday when they promoted Duke Williams over the weekend from the practice squad to the 53, that in itself is a big move. But then he pretty much took all Zay Jones snaps. I think Duke Williams played like 51 snaps or something like that, and Zay Jones had 1. And you look at the roster, it's a numbers game. You got 53 guys on the roster. they were carrying 7 receivers, and that just was not something that was going to last. And of course, when you got Cole and Beasley, Duke Williams looked pretty solid in a number 3 role. They still like Robert Foster. He's been inactive the last few weeks, bothered by an injury, but I still think he has some form of a future on the team. And then, of course, you got Isaiah McKenzie, who's a nice little gadget player. He contributes on special teams. And then you got Andre Roberts, who's a Pro Bowl kick returner and punt returner. Plus, he can do some things at wide receiver as well. So there just wasn't any room for Zay Jones going forward on this team. That's what it is more than anything. I'm not surprised that he got traded. I am a little surprised that he got traded this quickly. I mean, I figured, in fact, I had just taped a segment with Aaron Quinn for my podcast that drops on Tuesday. We taped it late Sunday night, and Zay Jones came up, and I did not expect him to be on this roster possibly by the Miami game coming off the bye. I just didn't expect this to happen quickly. Good for Buffalo that Oakland showed interest and that they got a deal done right away, because I honestly think that if they could not have traded him, they were going to release him. I just ran off the other 6 wide receivers. They weren't cutting any of them. So Zay Jones was going to be the odd guy out. So kudos to Brandon Beane yet again for being able to get something for nothing. Now, it's not a complete and total victory because they got a 5th round pick back 2 years from now for a wide receiver that they invested a 2nd round pick in 2 years ago. But you know what? Whatever, man. It didn't work out. And I know a lot of people like to bash Zay Jones. He kind of became the whipping boy this season. His father has not done him any favors on social media, constantly talking shit to people, sticking up for his son, which is fine, but pushing the limits a little bit with his commentary. So I know Zay Jones was no longer a fan favorite. I don't think he was a bad guy. I just think he was a guy who just wasn't getting it done. And, there just was no chemistry between him and Josh Allen. Maybe Josh Allen was putting all of his time and his resource and energy towards developing chemistry with Cole Beasley and with John Brown, maybe with Dawson Knox as well. It just wasn't there when it came to Zay Jones. Not all Zay Jones' fault either. He drops passes. I don't know what the analytics say about him, what his catch percentage rate is. Here's what I know with my naked eye. Bad things happen when the ball went Zay Jones' way. That's undeniable. Whether it was a poor throw from Josh Allen, whether Zay Jones dropped it, whether he broke off his route wrong, whether Josh Allen had the wrong read, whether he was defending or not defending a bad throw that turned out to be an interception. We could debate that, but there's no need to because the guy's gone. So I hope it works out. I think it's a good deal for both teams. Again, Buffalo gets something for a guy that they had no use for going forward, and Zay Jones gets a fresh start with the Oakland Raiders. And I'm sure most Bills fans will agree that they hope it works out for him. All right, I just wanted to drop some quick thoughts here on that Zay Jones trade. Stay tuned here to our YouTube channel for exclusive audio content that you will not find on our podcast, which does drop every Tuesday and Friday. Just subscribe to that little red button down right below here. Hit that little bell next to it so you'll get notifications when new audio content just like this is released. And don't forget to subscribe to the actual Moran-Alytics podcast. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday. In fact, on tomorrow's show, I'm talking with Aaron Quinn from Cover One, and we are going to completely deep dive into the Buffalo Bills victory at Tennessee on Sunday over the Titans to go to 4-1 on the season. Make sure you check that out as well.